Shambles. There's no communication. We didn't know where the goal was, but we kicked it anyway. There were no rules. We laughed. We made it up as we went along, and I started shouting at everyone.
And then, when we did the bit where you could not move unless the manager told you where to move, we'll put that one over here. And what kind of things were people saying there?
This is organised chaos. There's too much on the manager. I didn't do anything the whole game. We wanted to do it without having to be told. I ended up using the same person. I got upset about that. It's just like work. The manager didn't know the game. You had to tell people what to do. I felt frustrated. I didn't get instructions. They didn't have time for communication. We could only be reactive. The manager was under pressure and everyone was pissed off with them.
So, on this model, this is around control. And it's where we want to make absolutely sure we know exactly what's going to happen. When we do a consultation, we know what we want people to say, and so we are in control of the whole process. This is, we call it utter chaos, but there's actually another Greek word, which basically is a Vicari moment that we find ourselves in sometimes, and that is where are we? We're totally lost. We haven't got a clue what's going on. And we can't function at our best. This isn't bringing the best out of anybody. And it's chamos. Here we have order, rules. So what did people say about having rules?
They didn't. This is more the sweet spot in between.
Okay. So here I'm going to put order, and here I'm going to put another circle, which is chaos. Now we think of chaos as being something negative that we have to avoid. This comes from the guy who invented Visa. First credit cards to be used in the States. One bank had the idea, let's have a plastic card, and we'll do it for our customers. And then another bank said, well, that's a good idea, we'll do it. And it ended up with lots of banks all having their own cards that could not be used by any other bank. And it did not work. It created chamos. And what he came up with, how can we work with all of this, all of the confusion, all of the apparent confusion, the many, many different things that don't seem to fit together, that we can't control, how can we get this sweet spot between chaos and order? And he came up with the idea of the chaordic. And chaotic is basically just chaos in order. And if we can sit in this space between chaos and order, and it's not an easy place to sit because we want order, because we're a bit lost here and there's too many voices. If we can do that, we can find our way to something really creative and really new that enables everybody to take part. When we did the World Cafe, there were 40 voices, 40 stories. We provided a bit of order for all of those stories to come together to come up with something that was full of life. Yeah? So, the system world, life world, some people call this. This is the system world where you've got statutory responsibilities and funders you've got to sort out and keep happy and all the rest of it. People's lives aren't like that. That's life world. And people talk about restorative practice being the space between those two things. System world, life world. So, the reason that we're doing this now is this isn't where imagination, creativity, the new is going to come from here. It is if we will embrace a little bit of chaos, a bit of the unknown. Voices that we don't normally have in the room. People who are different from us, who are going to see things differently. Yeah? If we can embrace that and allow ourselves to think outside of our structures and what we think is possible because it's practical, then we might find something really new and life-giving for this place. So that's a little model. Don't think I want to say any more about that, do you?
No, sounds great. Just to start breaking some of our traditional ways of thinking about things. We are conditioned to think in certain ways because we've always thought like that. So it's just to start to bring some of that in. Cool.
Can I just ask for those papers?
So these are the Chaordic. I'll put them on, I'll read them out. This is what you said in the middle, where there's enough order because you had teams and goals and you knew what game you were playing, and yet there was still chaos. So here you said there's more action, we were moving around, there was a team spirit, this is important, we chose what to do and we let others do their job. There was more cooperation, it was more fun, everyone was involved, there was a lack of hierarchy, everyone knew their strength, there was no health and safety, and it was more fluid.